friend, welcome back to the soft, calm, warm, and cozy side of the internet. If you're new here, get cozy and feel free to stay a while. We get pretty real in here, but in a way that's comforting, not condemning. So before we begin, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video with your group chat because in this season, we do life together. Now take a breath for a moment. If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you're trying to trust God, but your life doesn't look like what you expected. The answers aren't clear, the timing feels off, and nothing is making sense in the way you hoped it would. You're doing your best to stay faithful. You're trying to stay grounded. But internally, you're asking quiet questions you don't always feel comfortable saying out loud. Questions like, why is this taking so long? Did I hear God wrong? Am I being patient? Or am I just stuck? Why does obedience feel this confusing? Let's talk about that. Gently, honestly, without pretending. There's a version of trust we're often taught that sounds confident, calm, and certain. But real trust, lived trust, doesn't always feel that way. Sometimes trust feels like showing up without clarity. Sometimes it feels like waiting without reassurance. Sometimes it feels like doing the right thing while wondering if it's actually working. And that doesn't mean you lack faith. It means you're human. One of the hardest parts of trusting God is that trust doesn't come with a timeline. We're used to cause and effect, effort and reward, action and outcome. But faith doesn't always operate on visible progress. Sometimes you're doing everything right, and nothing around you is changing yet. That gap is where confusion lives. Here's something important to understand. Confusion does not mean disobedience. Uncertainty does not mean you're off track. Questions do not cancel faith. Often, confusion shows up when you're between chapters, no longer where you were, but not yet where you're going. That in-between space can feel unsettling, especially if you're someone who likes clarity. A lot of people struggle in these seasons because they think trust should feel peaceful all the time. But trust isn't always calm. Sometimes it's courageous. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's choosing not to panic when answers aren't immediate. Trust isn't pretending you're okay. It's staying open, even when you don't understand. Let's talk about what makes these seasons so heavy. Often, it's not just the waiting, it's the silence. The silence after prayers, the silence after effort, the silence after surrender, and silence can feel personal. But silence doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes silence is space. Space for growth you can't see yet. Space for redirection. Space for strength to develop quietly. Here's a grounding truth. Just because God hasn't explained himself doesn't mean he's not present. We tend to trust explanations more than presence, but faith often asks us to lean into presence without explanation, and that's hard. Now let's bring this into something practical. When nothing makes sense, trust becomes less about belief and more about posture. Posture looks like staying open instead of hardened, staying curious instead of cynical, staying grounded instead of spiraling, staying patient without self-abandonment. You don't have to force peace. You just have to resist panic. One of the most practical things you can do in confusing seasons is slow your interpretation. Instead of asking, "What does this mean about me?" try asking, "What might this season be developing in me?" Clarity often comes after capacity. Another important shift. Trusting God does not mean turning off discernment or responsibility. You can trust God and take care of yourself. You can trust God and set boundaries. You can trust God and rest. You can trust God and move gently. Faith is not passivity. It's participation without control. There's also grief in these seasons. Grief for how you thought things would look. Grief for timelines you had to release. Grief for certainty you no longer have. That grief deserves space. Trust doesn't mean you don't grieve. It means you don't let grief harden you. If you've been feeling anxious, restless, or tempted to rush, that doesn't mean you're failing at trust. It means you care. And caring deeply often makes waiting harder, but waiting is not wasted. Here's something people don't say enough. Sometimes trusting God looks like staying consistent in small things when big things feel unclear. Keeping your routines, taking care of your body, staying honest about your emotions, not isolating, not numbing. Small acts of consistency are acts of trust. You don't need certainty to move forward. You need enough grounding to take the next gentle step. Faith is rarely about knowing the whole path. It's about choosing not to give up when the path feels foggy. If you're in a season where nothing makes sense, hear this clearly. You are not being punished. You are not forgotten. You are not late. And you are not doing faith wrong. You are being asked to trust differently, more slowly, more deeply, more honestly. Before we close, let's take a few moments to reflect together. If you can, grab a notebook, open your notes app, or simply sit quietly. Take a slow breath in and let it out. Now ask yourself, what part of my life feels confusing right now? Where nothing seems to make sense? Name it honestly. Write that down. Pause. Next, ask, what emotions come up for me in this season? Fear, frustration, sadness, uncertainty. Let yourself name them without judging them. Pause again. Now reflect on this. What am I trying to control because I feel unsure? What would it look like to loosen my grip just a little? Write that down. And finally, what is one small way I can stay grounded while I wait? One routine, one boundary, one act of care, one moment of trust. Write that down. Take one more breath. You don't need all the answers to keep going. You just need enough trust to stay open. If this message helped you feel less alone in your questions, I'm really glad you were here. Trust doesn't always feel strong. Sometimes it just feels steady. If this spoke to you, feel free to share it with someone who's also waiting and wondering. And if you want more calm, grounding conversations like this, you're welcome to subscribe and stay a while. This is Soft Heart, Strong Spine, where faith and honesty can coexist.